Namaste. We bring to you another of the podcasts that is being developed by the CCC to be able to guide the students. And here we are interviewing Akanksha Kumar, graduate of TSRS Aravali batch of 2012. Why don't you tell us something about yourself, Akanksha?
Yes. Firstly, thank you for having me. So I graduated as in science from Sri Ram School Aravali, and I went on to do a math major from Sri Venkateshwar College, Delhi University. And when I started college, I came across actuarial science as a possible career choice, and reading about it, researching about it, it seemed to be of interest to me. So I decided to pursue that. And after quite a few years of rigorous studying, I'm now a qualified actuary with specialization in math, in finance and investment. I work with Willis Towers Watson in the UK. I started off working in India for 3 years, and then it's been 3 years in the UK now.
That's nice to hear. So tell me something, Akanksha. How many papers of the actuarial science have you cleared?
So when I started out, there were actually 15 exams. I'm fully qualified now, so I've completed all 15. But there has been a change in structure, so there are now 13 exams. These are split into 4 different stages. So as you progress to them, you need to choose your specialization. As I mentioned, I chose mine in finance and investment. But
That's pretty phenomenal because I've hardly heard of anyone managing to clear all the papers of the course. Really phenomenal. So tell me, the fact that you took science, did it help you in your journey?
I always really liked math, so I knew I had to choose that as one of my subjects. For actual science, it's important that you have an interest in math and stats because it's a field that requires technical expertise, and you'd only be able to build that if you have an inclination towards these subjects. So doing a major in math has allowed me to build a foundation in it. I wouldn't say it's required for you to pursue a career in actuarial science. It could be a lot of different fields and branching into actuarial science. So you could be doing a major in economics, commerce, engineering, physics even. So it's beneficial if it's math related because it allows you to build a base, but it's not a necessity.
So science isn't a necessity. That means even our commerce students or our humanities students who have math and who are good at math, I mean, that's like a necessary skill. They can also pursue this.
Definitely.
So what typically does an actuary do?
So actuaries predominantly work in risk management. And wherever there's risk involved, be it financial, economic, business risk, there's scope for an actuary to step in and add value to a judgment. There are multiple fields that an actuary can work in. The most common one would be insurance, within which you have life insurance, there's general insurance, there's health insurance. Apart from insurance, you can also be working in pensions and finance and investment. Just to briefly touch upon all of these areas, in the context of insurance, an actuary can again pick up a variety of roles from product pricing, product design, reserving, where we advise companies on how much money to keep aside to be able to meet claim payments in the future. Capital management, where we advise companies on how much capital they need to keep aside to be able to survive in the times of worst case scenarios, as well as advising senior management on the premium that should be charged for policies and a whole range of other responsibilities. Then in the pensions area, there is valuation of employee benefit schemes. So advising companies on the money that they need to keep aside to be able to meet payments to employees in terms of gratuity, leave, pension payments, and so on. And then there's within finance and investment, you have things like fund management, market risk analysis, asset allocation. So deciding what are the optimum asset mix that a company should hold to maximize their potential for returns in the future, while also recognizing the risk that is being involved.
That's pretty interesting because most people think it's very restricted to the insurance sector. So it has a very wide application, that of the job of a actuary. So do you think children could do anything from say grade 9 upwards to build on this skills in school?
Um, I think programming skills is one thing that can be beneficial to learn early on because we're dealing with analytical tools, we're having a statistical modeling software being involved. Inevitably, you'll be working on some sort of these tools, and having a background helps you build further on these skills. And especially in a world where we're automating a lot of processes. So it's it's obviously you can also learn on the job. It's just easier if you have an initial understanding of coding, programming. And I'd say a love for math is very, very important, uh, just because of the technical nature of the field. And there will be times when you're faced with complex problems. So if you don't love a complex math problem, it might be difficult to push through in those times.
True, true, true. Yeah. And what do you think about the future outlook of this field? Job
There is
prospects.
tremendous, there is tremendous amount of opportunities in the field. We see that the industry is constantly growing, constantly evolving. There are new risks emerging, things like climate change, things that haven't been dealt before. So there is, as new risks emerge, there will be more potential opportunities that are being created. It's a more recognized profession now, from comparing it to the time when I started out. I heard about it in college. I didn't even know it existed while I wasn't still in school. So with the recognition, with the knowledge that of the various different types of roles that actuaries can take, and as you said, traditionally they've worked more on the insurance side, and that's the perception that an actuary would be working in the insurance business, but that's not limited at all. Um, so with new areas of risk emerging, it's quite an extensive field.
And you also, when you spoke about the school skills required, you spoke about coding. So, and you also spoke about statistical models. So, do you recommend any particular language or any particular statistical tool that, children who have an interest or an inclination to math should, learn over and above the school curriculum?
There's no particular language that I'd recommend as such. It really comes down to what's of interest to you to start off. Um, Languages like C sharp, um, Python, are these are gaining more popularity now, I'd say. But anything they start off that helps you build a base will make it easier for you to learn new languages in the future. And it really depends from company to company. For my work, we use an in-house Wilstars Watson software called Igloo. And the coding is completely different for that. So most of it you would learn on the job, but it's just good to have some background in it. So,
But Akanksha, do you code or do you play with data? Do you do hardcore coding?
both.
Oh,
So in my work, I work in the strategic investment modeling solutions team. What we do is we build and maintain mathematical models that allow you to project scenarios of different economic series like interest rates, inflation, FX. So it's very, very mathematical, and and we work with general insurers and asset management firms. These firms then use these projections in their capital models to assess exactly how much capital they need to set aside in a scenario where, say, interest rates go up really high. They still need to be able to make they still need to be able to make the claim payments to the customers as promised. So just assessing what the worst case can look like, and with as I mentioned, with the new risks emerging, we need to develop our models to include these risks, to incorporate these risks. And we're constantly having new long-term views applied. So there is inherently a lot of coding work involved in my work. Um, even for insurance, even for life insurance, general insurance, there would be some sort of a software that's being used. Even if you're not actively coding, you would be required to say, look into a piece of code, see if there's anything erroneous in it, correct it, fix it. So it's I'd say starting out, it's not a necessity, but it's definitely a skill that's good to have.
So do you think learning, you did PCM with arts. If you had done PCM with CS, do you think you would have been better placed?
In retrospect, perhaps, but of course, if even if I'd started out learning CS after my graduation or throughout college, it would at the end of the day put me at the same level. So it's I'd say at school level, go for what is of interest to you. And whichever career you want to pursue, the skills can be learned as and when. Yeah, it's not, I wouldn't say it's a hardcore necessity.
That's very interesting to hear. I had another question. So there are a lot of colleges. In fact, even in India, you have colleges which actually help you give you a base on actuarial science, which was not there, I think, even in your time. Forget my time when you graduated from school. So do you think they would be of any help? I mean, would you know anything about it? There are some colleges which actually, I think they call it an undergrad degree in actuarial science. Even in India, abroad, I know there are colleges, but will that be of any help?
So there are certain colleges and universities that are accredited by these actual societies. But in India, there are currently, I'll start off with the actual societies. There are two main societies to consider. One is the Institute and Faculty of Actuaries in the UK, and one is the Institute of Actuaries of India. Both are based on a very similar structure, same course material, but different set of examinations. Um, when you're doing a bachelor's in actuarial science, it gives you an option to apply for exemptions for these particular papers. If you've studied a relevant module at university, there is scope for it to be exempted. But there are only a few that are accredited by the Institute and Faculty of Actuaries, UK. I would advise against, personally, I would advise against doing a bachelor's in actuarial science from a college that's not accredited, because it does not help you gain a qualification. In India, there's Indian Statistical Institute in Kolkata, which is recognized by the Institute of Actuaries of India, and that's the only one currently. Um, Another that's recognized by UK or accredited by the UK Society is a college in University of Mumbai, which is the Patkar Vardi College. Apart from that, there are many universities like Amity offering a course, but these are not recognized. They may be in the future, as and when these colleges apply for that accreditation, but currently they're not. So there are a few in the UK. So there's University of Kent, there's University of York, there's LSC, and quite a few others. So worldwide, there are about, I think, 40 to 50 which are accredited. It would be good to go over this list, which is available on the society's website, to understand which of the ones that you can consider.
So, Kanksha, if you were to come back to India, would it be easy for you to get a job here?
So yes,
Yeah.
so I've qualified from the
Yeah.
UK Institute, but there is a mutual recognition program, MRE, Mutual Recognition Agreement in place, which allows you to qualify from the Indian Society as well. To be able to practice as a signing authority or an appointed actuary in India, you need to clear one of the higher exams from India itself. But otherwise, I can. There's no issue for me to work in any other area.
But suppose you were to go to the US or to any other country other than India, will the same be applicable?
Yes. So the IFOA, the UK Institute, is recognized all over, unless they specifically ask. But there are more actual societies across the globe, unless there's a workplace that specifically asks for a particular qualification. UK society is recognized worldwide.
Okay, that's nice. I had one more question. That was, so do you think, suppose a child, like you've done hardcore math at your undergrad level, suppose a child had done economics, right? Will that have been any form of an advantage or disadvantage in the journey?
So there is quite a lot of overlap as well in some of the subjects that we study as part of actuarial science against like math, economics, because all of these subjects are combined into different modules. Um, I'd say it's not an advantage or disadvantage as such. Some subjects like financial math would be easier for me if I've studied something similar at undergrad. The financial economics would be easier for somebody who's done economics in undergrad, but the course material is quite comprehensive. You have all the information you need to be able to start from scratch as well. So it really puts you at power at the end.
Also, I
And
always saw these 14, 15, 16 papers are all math based, but that's not the case. So you have something in math, you have something in economics.
yes, so the first seven examinations are like the core technical, which have some elements of economics, some elements of financial math, some of statistics, and then there are three core modules which give you an overall idea about the different industries. There's one on communications, there's one on modeling, which is an Excel-based examination. And then as you progress further, you have to choose a specialization. So there are a set of seven exams to choose two from. And at the last level, there are five exams to choose one from based on your field of interest or specialization. Um, I think only other core levels, so the first seven examinations are there may or may not be an overlap with some of the modules that you study at university, depending on which subject you major in. Um, but like I said, there is all of the information available, uh, assuming somebody hasn't had that background as well. So it does not put you at a disadvantage if you haven't studied it. In my personal experience, in my peer group at work. We have people from all engineering, physics, math, statistics, and computer science, all different backgrounds. So, and they're all doing very well.
Yeah, I think the underlying thing is that innate love for numbers, math, logic, stats. If you have those skills.
Anything that's analytical in nature and allows you to build build on those skills would be helpful.
So, Kanksha, did you get a job after did you start working after you completed all your exams, or did you start working in between and studied alongside?
No, I started working as soon as I graduated. So I was working with Aon Hewitt for 6 months. I was working in pensions. At that time, I had seven examinations that I had cleared from the institute.
Sorry, I'm
And
going to
then,
stop you. I'm going to stop you. So you cleared seven exams while you were doing your undergrad.
yes.
Okay. Hmm.
And I continued with the exams as I progressed. Um, so after 6 months, I then joined Willis Towers Watson in the investments team.
And you've been here.
I've been here since.
Thank you so much, Akanksha. I think I learned a lot, so I'm sure the kids will learn a lot more. Thank you so much. Good luck, and thanks for taking out time from your working day.
Thank you. Thank you.